Welcome to The Know. I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
Even though they make publishers a lot of money, nobody likes microtransactions, right?
No,
you don't like
not
it?
at all.
I don't like it. In these divisive times, that's pretty much something we can all get behind.
Glad we can all gather together for
Yeah.
this. Microtransactions have become so controversial that many governments around the world are looking into banning them, and some countries like Belgium already have. But does that mean that they're going away anytime soon?
Well, according to the developer of a major AAA game, no. And he says, get used to them. Which, I know.
Right,
it's going to be one of those
settling in,
stories.
yep.
Yeah.
These comments come from the senior producer of NBA 2K19, who spoke pretty candidly in an interview with Trusted Reviews about the reality of microtransactions in the world of modern gaming.
So NBA 2K19 releases on Friday, and it does have a lot of microtransactions. They're in the form of virtual currency that you can buy with real money. It also will have card packs that you can also spend, you guessed it, real money on.
In the interview, NBA 2K19 senior producer Rob Jones said that microtransactions and virtual currency are an unfortunate reality of modern gaming.
No shit. He added, every game at some point in some way has currency, and they're trying to get additional revenue from each player that plays the game. You know, the question has to be, when does it feel like it's a straight money grab versus when does it feel like it's value added, right?
Virtual currency was very controversial in last year's NBA 2K18. It was everywhere in the game and was required to do just about anything, including in-game tattoos and haircuts.
You could either grind for it or you could purchase that virtual currency with real money. But it definitely took a while to grind if you wanted to just do it through gameplay. Players reported back last year that if you wanted to make your custom player better, you'd have to play over 200 games to earn enough currency to bring them to just a pretty good overall rating, or you could just spend $20.
This sparked a backlash with the game's players, very similar to what we saw with Star Wars Battlefront 2.
But like Jones said, virtual currency is a way to get additional revenue from players, especially those who don't want to grind and who are just going to, pay that
Drop
$20.
the money. Yeah. He told Trusted Reviews, we know nowadays that most people don't have the patience to work their way to the top. They just want to be there right away. So, we look at it as hey, it's an opportunity for us to allow you to skip the grind. But then if the grind is too long, like some people felt last year, they're going to sit there and they're going to go, well, you knew the grind was too long to begin with.
Also, don't be that kind of player.
Yeah.
Is it just me? Don't fucking be that. Just grind. Ugh. He added that they've learned a lot from fan feedback last year, and they don't want players to feel like they're being taken advantage of. So, in NBA 2K19, there will be more ways besides buying currency to get in-game items.
But still, his comments made it pretty clear that microtransactions aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, and the NBA 2K games, they're hardly the only place where we see them. We see them all over FIFA, they're in Madden. Lots of AAA games these days have them. In fact, it's almost rare to find a game that doesn't have microtransactions.
So why do they do it?
Well, publishers and developers, they will tell you that it's a way to offset the soaring costs of developing games.
The reigning champ of costly video games is GTA 5, which reportedly cost $137 million to develop and another $128 million to market for a total of $265 million. That's getting up there with major Hollywood blockbusters in terms of costs.
And industry leaders, they've been warning about this trend of games getting too expensive to make, but also just maybe don't spend so much money on them. I don't know.
Well, good old Shuhei Yoshida, president of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios, said recently that games are getting too big to fail because of the size of the investment. He said the development costs create an enormous pressure to manage those AAA projects.
For some more examples of modern AAA games and their super high budget, there's Horizon Zero Dawn that had a budget between 45 and 47 million, while the first Destiny famously cost somewhere in the neighborhood of at least 150 million. I don't even think that's counting marketing. It was huge.
A big part of that expense is labor costs. Game developers are highly skilled and therefore are highly paid, and studios need a lot of them if their game is going to have any kind of graphics that modern gamers expect.
Yeah, so let's get into some numbers. According to recent stats, the average game developer makes around $83,000 a year. That might have risen a little bit, but that gives you an idea. So that comes out to about $7,000 a month. So let's say you got a staff of 100 people making your game. That becomes $700,000 a month just to pay your employees, or about $8 million a year.
Some stats for AAA games go as high as $200 to 300 people during some portion of their development time. So that 8 million could easily be 16 or 24 million depending on the size of the team.
And now multiply that by the 2 to 3 years it takes to make a game. That's not even counting hardware like computers, office space. You also need that. And we haven't even factored in the marketing that can be double or triple the actual budget of the game. So you can see right there, that's how you get into hundreds of millions of dollars.
Absolutely. All of that means that AAA games might need to sell millions of copies before they even break even.
Yeah, just because a game sells like 1 million copies, that doesn't mean shit anymore.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at a big budget game that came out a few years back, Final Fantasy 15. It released in 2016. It has sold more than 7.7 million copies worldwide. You think that was a hit, right?
Yeah, right?
Believe it or not, that might not be enough for Square Enix to consider it successful.
Wow. Back in 2016, game director Hajime Tabata said that Final Fantasy 15 had to sell 10 million units over the course of its life in order for it to be considered a success.
Fuck.
That raised a lot of eyebrows, naturally.
He later clarified and said that was how many the team hoped to sell, not how many it would take to turn a profit. But at any rate, that gives you an idea of how many copies we're talking about for them to be considered a success, breaking. I mean, we're talking about many millions here.
Yeah, and for every GTA 5, which became a smash hit, there are tons of others that bomb. Entire studios have been shut down after high-profile flops. There's just that much riding on the game.
So that pretty much sums up the argument from a developer's perspective as to why they need to fill games with microtransactions.
From a gamer's point of view, though, it's hard not to feel a little ripped off to see microtransactions in your already full-price games.
I felt that way about Battlefront. Like Battlefront 1,
absolutely.
it was just like, I thought I bought a game. This was just like an opportunity to buy shit. Yeah, I don't know. It felt like a ripoff. The compromise that a lot of developers seem to have settled on is to leave microtransactions in a game, but make them for cosmetics only.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen for games like Overwatch versus Battlefront 2,
Yes.
which was criticized endlessly for locking progression items behind loot boxes. That gave Battlefront 2 the dreaded pay-to-win label that has been very hard to shake.
Right, and no developer wants to replicate the fate of Battlefront 2. Quite the opposite. But then again, they're not going to give up microtransactions either. Like they said, for now, they seem like an unfortunate reality.
Yep, they're around for a while. What do you guys think about this developer's comments on the inevitability of microtransactions? Let us know in the comments.
And for all your gaming news, be sure to like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know. Awesome.
Sounded like a fucking character from Star Fox on the Super Nintendo when you fucked up.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I was trying to say programmers. I got it. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.